We've all been there. Something you didn't plan for. It's your health, your spouse, your job, something that now stands in the way. As Mike Tyson reminds us, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face. Anyone can make a plan, but very few can execute when the pressure's on. Well, imagine having a way to handle things that get in the way, even turn the obstacle into an opportunity. Welcome to A Call to Rise. I'm your host, Joel Landy, founder, entrepreneur, former naval officer, and this is where we help you build resilience, which is the ability to manage high levels of challenge and disruption while maintaining high levels of effectiveness and well-being. Because goals without setbacks are uncommon and big plans without resilience are just not happening. So if your job or life demands staying and playing at a high level, you're exactly where you need to be. So let's jump in. If you just broke up with someone, changed jobs, or bought a stack of self-help books that you know you won't read, congratulations, because you've officially entered a new season. But what are you calling that season or this season? And today is about naming that season and knowing which season you're in, because this is important. I don't know if you have ever heard this, but according to research, knowing what season you're in life helps you frame your development, helps you frame your life experience, and it equips you better to handle challenges and setbacks. The current research tells us that it's important for us psychologically to understand what season we're in, because it gives context. It gives a framework for our psychology to work through. And on top of that, studies have shown us that when you do see your life in a context that is proper, it's easier to actually process pain and disappointment because you're seeing it in a context. And so seasons give us context, right? So today's a check-in, right? I want you to be able to name what season you're in. I want you to be able to say it out loud. And this is also powerful to help you clear away obstacles and excuses, right? It gives you a context for your life. And so today starts a little jab to the ribs. Some people stop growing or get stuck and call it a season when it's actually just an excuse. I know that's hard to hear, but that's the whole point today. So I want to frame today in a different direction. I normally don't do this, right? But something from the wisdom literature of the Bible, the Old Testament. It's a passage in Ecclesiastes 3. It's been sitting around for 3,000 years, and it still cuts, I believe, right to the heart of the matter today, right? And here's the passage. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Now, I'm gonna pull out of those 11 verses, I'm just going to pull out 3. And I'm going to frame today's conversation on that. And today's a conversation about looking at, what do these things mean to you? Where do you find meaning in them? And having a meaningful conversation, right? The first one is in your life, right? There's a time to plant and a time to uproot. The second idea is there's a time to keep and a time to throw away. And lastly, the third idea is there's a time to be silent and a time to speak, right? Planting or uprooting. Keeping or throwing away, being silent, speaking, right? These are all ideas that you're all very familiar with. And by the end of this podcast, it's my hope that you're going to actually be able to label, hey, as it relates to these concepts, this is really what I should be doing and the direction I should actually be investing in, right? So a time to plant or a time to uproot, which one are you in? Okay, let's talk about that. A time to plant and a time to uproot. Okay, well, if you're in a time of planting, this is a season for you for new ideas. This is a season for you where you are learning new things, you're learning new ways to communicate. You're in growth mode, and it's clear to you, and you talk to people even about the difficult things that are happening in your life. You're in growth mode, right? So you are in a season of planting, right? This is forward movement. This is books. This is conversations. It's travel. It's going out of your way to have, meaningful conversations, engaging conversations, challenging conversations. But you are in a season where you are planting, right? You're hungry for new. You're hungry for growth. And that's your mantra, right? That's just what you've been saying. On the other side of that, there's a time to uproot, right? And obviously, this is a time when you are looking at your life and you are actively pulling out things that are in your life that you've identified as they no longer serve you. You're not moving forward. You're dragging them forward. They hurt. And that has a lot to do with, limiting beliefs, I believe. In 30 years of coaching and leadership, I think it always comes down to things that often dog us are things that we believe about ourselves and about the world. And at times it centers around hurt, but a lot of times it also just centers around scarcity mentality. It just centers around believing that there's just not a lot out there for you specifically at this time in history. And so, the first step to turning things around is just believing in abundance, believing that a lot is out there, a lot's possible, and I am a potential recipient of a lot of cool things that could be happening in my life, right? So if you're not really excited about this chapter in life, I would challenge you to think that what you need to uproot is small thinking, right? Life rises and falls in proportion to courage. A lot of opportunities that you're going to get, you might not take. And that's because whether you're just lacking the confidence or the courage, right, or even the positivity. But the idea of uprooting, I believe, in 30 years of coaching other people, limitations are personal and they're here. It's not money and it's not genetics. It's up here, right? So if you're in a season right now where you feel like, man, I don't know, I just feel like I'm not even close to where I should be right now, this is a time to uproot for you. So that's the first thing. Are you in plant mode or are you in uproot mode, right? And you'll just know which one you're in or not, right? The second one is, the idea of it's a time to keep and a time to throw away, right? And so a time to keep, right? This is a time where you're evaluating, investigating, what are the foundational beliefs of my life? What do I believe? What do I build on? I've built a current reality on the 4 values of the Stoics, right? Courage, wisdom, temperance, and self-control. These are things that I build my life on. Every morning I get up, I got this blow-away dashboard that I built on Claude that is all about my positive mental attitude. This is about mental fitness. And it takes me through a sequence of really cool ideas and prepares my mind every day. Now, spoiler alert, I wake up grumpy and negative. And you can ask my wife this, right? But you can also ask my wife something also, which is about an hour and a half later, I am a different person. It's not a magic wand. It's not a pill. I wish it were my prayer life. Sometimes my prayer doesn't have that kind of change. But what does is when I intentionally put thoughts and ideas in my mind for 30 minutes and I let them linger, it changes me, right? Your thoughts drive your emotions, right? So you shouldn't be focusing, if you're moody and you're not having the kind of emotions that you want, you should be focusing on your thought life, not your emotions, even if you don't like your emotions. So I build on those ideas as I visit them every day. But that is when you're in the season of keeping, you're looking at things that are foundationally true that you've learned, and you're building on that. Now, of course, the opposite of that is it's a time to throw away. And the time to throw away is when you're now witnessing or are being impacted and affected by things that are actually now having negative results, right? They're hurting you. This is negative people. This is people that are stuck and they don't want help, right? They're not going anywhere in life. And those are hard conversations to have, but they're necessary conversations to have. I'm just saying, you are Jim Rohn principle. You are the summation of the 5 people that influence you the most. If you hang out with small-minded people, you will be a small-minded person. Right? But you got to be aware when things like that are happening, that you're having conversations with people that around you that are just, they're stuck. And it's not inappropriate or unkind to say, hey, I've noticed it seems like you're in a bad place. Would you agree? And what are you going to do about that? That's really a great question to ask people. Right? So again, today's podcast is about naming the season that you're in. Maybe you're planting, maybe you're uprooting, maybe you're keeping, maybe you're throwing away, right? The last one is, it is the season to be silent and it is the season to speak, right? For me, when I think of silent, I think of right now just what's happening politically. I just think of politicians. I think of polarizing topics. Do I lack the courage or the conflict skills to have those conversations? No, I don't. But here's my position on this matter. If I'm not in a position to change something, I'm not going to waste my time talking about it. That's just how I'm wired. You do you, I'll do me. But being silent is the idea that you have the ability, if you have the ability to create change, then speak up,
right? But I want to go back to why this is so powerful right now. Why it's important for you to be able to say, this is the season of my life right now, right? Excuses keep you out of the season that you're supposed to be in. Now, let me take a step back and let me unpack that for you a little bit, right? You need to know what season you're in. And if you want to be open to the idea of looking at Ecclesiastes 3 and looking at these ideas and going, okay, plant, uproot, keep, throw away, silent, speak. It's powerful for you to be able to say, this is the season of life I'm living in right now. And that's a constructive, powerful thing. If you're not able to do that, there's a chance that you can confuse and conflict the season that you're in, and you adopt this idea that sounds something like, hey, it is what it is. Same stuff, different day. These are excuses to not properly assess the season that you're in, so that you can understand the signs and you can deal with the lessons that life wants to serve you, so that you can be on your trajectory for growth. And that's the powerful way to live life. And so, I want to encourage you to think about that, right? Silent versus speak, right? And of course, if it's a season to speak up, what is that season? What is it that right now you feel like you're holding back on, that you feel like you really need to speak up on? What's happening? What are you reading? What's motivating you? What's energizing you? What's bothering you? In a way that you can actually constructively speak to it and speak about it, and you yourself can become a source of positive change, right? So this idea of being in a season is a powerful thing, right? And identifying where you're at. Because if you don't know where you're, it's just hard. It's hard to, unless you have a context of what you're trying to accomplish at this stage in your life, it's difficult to make sense of some of the things that you are asked to process and grow from. So I want to leave you with a thought here. Of course, I love your commentary. Drop a comment. I love the interaction. I don't even mind the pushback, but let me just say this about pushback. Pushback is supposed to be done thoughtfully and respectfully, okay? So let me say this to you if you're watching and you've gotten this far in my podcast, okay? If you want to push back and you lack the intellectual horsepower to do it respectfully, or to even use some type of research to your claim, I mean, you can just tell me, I don't agree with you, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, and I'm telling you flat out, right? If you're going to be here and throw shade on a presentation, make sure you do it thoughtfully. And that's just a great rule of thumb. And not just here with me. I'm talking about in life. If you're going to push back on something with a lot of force, you need to make sure that you've done your homework in order to do that. And so I had to get that off my chest. Thank you for listening. That was episode 13. We'll see you next time for episode 14. What season are you in?
If today's conversation challenged you, it's a real signal you need to do the work. It's no longer an option for you. So don't push that feeling away. It's reminding you of the cost of playing small. Success is easy when things go well, but resilience, that's cultivated when things go sideways. Make sure you subscribe, and if this episode brought you value, pass it on. It's how we grow the tribe. We'll be back, hopefully next week. Until then, I'll see you next time. Here is your call to rise. Rise up so that others can rise.